Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. How you doing, Martin?
I'm doing great. How are you, Matt?
I'm so
Good to be
excited.
back.
Yeah, it's great to be back. That was
Back on
good.
air with you.
Good summer, man. Right?
Well, not here in Germany. It's
Oh.
quite rainy, but too much rain, actually.
We've been doing work anyway, right? So
Exactly. We're in front of our computers most of the time, anyways. So
yeah. But this is about getting back out there. This is actually this is a little bit of a love letter. This presentation. Normally I'm talking about educational topics, and I think this one's still educational, but as I don't know, a little bit of a turnaround. Instead of me saying, "Hey, here's a topic," I've come out to talk about a product or a system, and it's I don't know. I put a lot of heart into this because I feel so strongly about it. So I hope that you enjoy it, Martin.
I hope so, and I'm pretty confident that I will enjoy it.
Okay, good. Well,
Judging from our past webinars and the past webinars that we did together, so
yeah.
it will be good. It will be interesting to hear what you have to say about our big boy, the Pro 75.
All right. Well, I think I'm going to jump right in. I just wanted to do a little bit of housekeeping first. Thank you, everybody, for joining. For all of you who've said where you're from in the chat, thank you so much. If you haven't done that already, let us know where you're tuning in from. We'd love to know that. And yes, Martin will be putting on the hat at the end of the presentation.
I will. I promise.
I'm
And
not sure you're going to smoke
to everyone, if you have questions, just put them in the chat. And in the chat, I will be here all the time, and I will be happy to answer all the questions.
Yeah, I've got some technical info. Martin's got a lot more technical info. I'm a shooter, so like he's a wealth of knowledge. So please take advantage of him. Ask questions anytime you want using the chat, or you can pop it into the Q&A, or we'll promote any of your chat questions to the Q&A if you guys want me to answer it. So, Martin, I'm going to jump right in.
Please go ahead, and we see each other at the end of the presentation. Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right. So, as you know, the title of this presentation is 10 reasons I choose the TrioPod Pro-75 tripod system. And I just want to give a little bit of a story here. Martin asked me about why I chose that tense of the verb choose instead of why I chose. Well, I said to him, my reply was, I choose the tripod every time I pick it up, every time I put it on my bag. I have and I'm just going to go to the next slide and it'll help you understand. I've dated a lot of tripods in my life. I've gotten married to some of them, right? But this is 25 plus years of photography, lots of filmmaking out there. I've owned over 18 tripods in my life. And honestly, I probably still have too many here, and they're sitting up on this rack and they're gathering dust. So I believe I'm just going to sell them because there's a lot of good reasons for me to believe that I've found the last tripods I need to buy in my lifetime. And I'm not blowing air here. I have a lot of experience with tripods, so I'm pretty passionate about it and I'm pretty knowledgeable about it. Here's all of the reasons that I choose the TrioPod Pro-75, and we're going to jump into these individually. And yeah, sometimes I take pictures of myself on location just so you guys can see what the setup is because it's so flexible. Let's jump right into the first one. And you may have seen the video that I used to advertise this, but I'm going to play it again because I think it really gives you guys a broad sense of what it's like to use this system. So let's watch that for a moment. A good tool really sticks with you for a long time. I just want to ask you guys, drop it in the comments. Let me know if there's something that you bought that was an especially good purchase that you've used for, let's say, more than 5 years, because a lot of things these days are disposable. And what I found after using NOVOFLEX for a while is that none of it is disposable. It's all built to last. In fact, if you have kids, you're probably going to hand it down to them if they want to be a photographer. So, um, and I want you to consider this. As you're thinking, well, it's an essential. It's like it's not a thing. I absolutely need it to do what I do. If I want critical sharpness, I need a tripod, right? So I'm going to ask you to consider reframing how you think about tripods. And I'm gonna turn this off for a second. Um, there we go. This spider is the heart of the system. And how many tripods have owned where it was this configurable, so you could take everything off of it, and this is the heart of the system. Um, this is why I say the whole system starts from here, the heart, the platform of this, and everything you do can evolve with that, and you can change it to fit the needs of what you're doing. Um, the photographs that you see here, you can see that on the first image that you see there, that's 155-degree leg angle, which you wonder, why would a tripod do it? When you're folding the legs up, you're like, why does it stop here? Well, it's so you can get up really close to a wall. Have you ever had that moment of chagrin when your tripod was too far away from something because the feet needed to be a certain distance apart? Well, this leg can go up that far. Now, many tripods allow you to take a single leg and turn it into a monopod, but this one comes with a little collar you can screw down on the top and have a very secure way to put any tripod head on top. I just happened to put my ball head there. So that leaning pod is really great. And then a tabletop and a mini tripod are also really good. And of course, it's a standard tripod too. Um, and when I go out on location or when I'm in the studio, I know that with just bringing a couple extra things with me, I have ultimate configurability. I can attack any situation. Like the picture on the left here, um, that's actually at more of an angle than it looks like. That's just sandstone out in the desert. And I wanted to have a nice low angle for the 11 millimeter, so I got some ground in there, but I needed to be close to it. And the regular legs could have done it, but this did it better. And it was just good that I had the mini legs with me. And of course, standing regular but strong for panos, I absolutely need that sort of stability. Um, One of the other leg angles allows you to, without having to pull out the middle and flip it over to hang your camera upside down, like some things you can pull the center column out and flip it upside down. All you need to do is turn it over and turn the legs to that angle, and now you've got an upside down macro set up. And it's extremely useful to not have to reconfigure the tripod, to just turn it over and pretend like you're folding it down for travel to do this. The tabletop setup is something that at first I wasn't sure I was going to use a lot. But as I did more and more macro, I said, this is absolutely invaluable because a sturdy base on a macro setup is paramount when you're doing focus stacking. So having something that just won't move, because you need every fraction of a millimeter to be the same as the one before. This I found to be extremely important. And I'm so grateful that my monster tripod can become a compact tabletop tripod just by swapping out the legs. Now I would talk about stability. Um, because of the various leg angles, I can take just the right stance in any situation. The standard spread is great for most things, right? But I can make the legs wider when the wind picks up. And I'll show you a picture of that in a second. It really eats the vibration and distributes it so that I get, using long lenses or long exposures, which are kind of common for me, it eats all that stuff up. And all the leg angles, I keep mentioning it, but they're surprisingly useful, the 23, 45, 65, and 87 degrees. And we also talked about the 43 and the 155. And at every height that I use it, it's very stable. And I'm just going to switch over again here. So I showed you this. This is the heart of it. It comes with the flat plate. And you just put the flat plate in there. and then you can put any head that you want. You just screw down these grub screws on the side and it holds it in. But because you can remove this flat plate, there are other accessories that we're going to come up and talk about. But in that center column, by not having a center column, you have the maximum amount of stability because it is engineering wise. It's not going to create any more vibration by having more connections. Every connection you add adds another place where, I don't know, vibrations can be introduced into it. And obviously it matters to me because I take long exposures. So here's an example at the North Rim of the Grand Canyon. It was really windy there, and this was me scouting it during the daytime. And then when I came back at night, this is the 3-row pano. And if you saw a previous webinar, you know how I shot this, but this is 3 layers, top, middle, and bottom, and about, I don't know, 10 images across for each of those. So I had to make sure that it was extremely stable in this high wind and be able to take all of these pictures. And I was amazed that no vibration happened on any of those 40 plus pictures. And it really made a huge difference. Now, Alan said something in the comments. Yes, having the leg angle to go up to get closer to something, that's really important in a slot canyon too. And I'll probably get some more pictures of that when I head out. I'm going to head out to Badlands on Sunday. So moving on, this is one of the strongest tripods I've ever used. And have you ever heard of a tripod holding 143 pounds? It sounds ridiculous, right? What camera spec is, how are you ever going to put 143 pounds on that? What it really means and what it comes down to is this. The more stability and strength that it has, the less problems you're going to have. Yeah, it's overkill for a lot of things. But if you do a variety of tasks, you might consider going the overkill route and getting something that's spec'd higher than the smallest thing you have. Or you can configure this so that you can put some smaller legs on, and we'll get to that, right? But this is great for mirrorless. It's great for long lenses, heavy macro rigs. We showed you a picture of that. The Astro stuff that I do. I also do art repro on the side. It's really sturdy for that. It's ideal, actually. And then multi-camera rigs. I'm going to show you a fun example of that too. Oh, and here it is. To prove the point, and I actually did this in the field on my last trip. I wanted to test 2 star trackers and 1 motion tracker all at the same time. So I set up this one rig where I have this long base rail, which is the QPL 450. And on top of that, I put a Syrup Genie Mini 2 pan tilt kit with a Fuji X-T1. In the middle, you have a Move, Shoot, Move rotator with both the V and Z brackets and a Nikon Z6 and a 24-70. And a Magic Ball plus a Star Adventurer and an Acrotech GPSS and a Z6 II and a 70-200. All of this on one tripod. And as they were taking their pictures, they were all steady and still on one tripod. And that's pretty remarkable. You would normally have to bring 3 tripods for all of that, and think of the weight that you're saving. So it's crazy. It's crazy that you can do that. A more common solution to that is, that you want a stability, and that's why you'd use something like a star tracker. Here's me using just the Star Adventurer on the Acrotech GPSS and a 70-200, and I really wanted to run it to the limits, and I wanted to see what would happen. So I'm going to draw on this. This down here is, I think I did a 10-minute exposure. So the ground is blurry because it's on a star tracker. And then this one is the ground picture and the stars are blurry. And they're combined to make this picture here. So you want, and it was up really tall because there were some rocks near me, and I needed to also, when you're using a star tracker, you got to get up underneath the polar scope on the end. It's an optic, and you need to be able to use that to be able to see. So if your tripod isn't tall enough, you have to sort of kneel and squat to get underneath it. And it's very annoying. So I enjoy that this has just the right height on it also when I put that together, in addition to that stability. Now, precision. like I said, I'm a shooter. I've worked with a lot of sloppy tripods and average tripods, and this is the top of the list when it comes to precision. Everything just fits, and it always stays where you put it. The craftsmanship that they employ at the NOVOFLEX factory is extraordinary when they CNC everything themselves and run their own QA. Um, the leg locks on these legs are sealed, so the dirt and the water pretty much stay out of there. And really, when I lock things down, I turn it to where it should be, and that's finger tight, and that's enough. It doesn't move. So that's really important. And I'm just going to say this right out. Yeah, NOVOFLEX does cost more than the average tripods, but we're talking about the quality and length of ownership here. If you're sick of rebuying things, a good idea is to invest in NOVOFLEX and build out your system, because you're going to buy it once. And this is a joke, right? But let's say you broke one of the legs, right? So you don't have to send it in for service. You can unscrew the leg and you can purchase a single leg to replace it, and you're shooting again. And if you've really invested in your system, chances are you might have another one laying around, or you might have like a second tripod, and you can pull a leg off of that. So it's really important to know that these things fit together the way they should, and you can stop worrying about what's underneath your camera and start worrying about what's in front of your camera. I really enjoy that this middle piece has markers on the leg. These right here allow me to, I usually set up right there with two of them covered. So when I set up, I just move it to that, and I know that the camera's going to be right at my eyeball level. And it's really comfortable to do that. Yes, I'm pulling your leg, Gino. Even 30 seconds behind with the delay. So this is a really important feature to me, because you can keep the other two legs fully extended and you lock them down. And then these ones that are closest to the top, where you're operating near the camera, you can change this height and lock it, and they'll all be the same. You'll be level. It's really an excellent feature. What's next? Accessories. We're in the photo industry, right? We're talking about accessories. We photographers love accessories. It's just our thing, right? So this picture that you're seeing right here has a lot of cool stuff going on. I have right in the middle, you can see that the geared center column is there. And on top of the geared center column, there's a platform for a head. And on the bottom, there's another platform for a head. And that's really extraordinary. So if you had a quick release on both ends, you could just switch your camera from top to bottom. If you needed to run two cameras at the same time, you could actually run two cameras at the same time with this geared head. I use this geared center column primarily when I'm doing art repro work. When I want to have hit exactly the center of a piece of artwork, I will use this to hit that center faster and more accurately than using just the leg adjustments, which you have to do 3 times instead of 1 time. So that's geared center column is really exciting to me. We already mentioned that there's a flat plate that comes with it, right? And you've seen in previous webinars that I've talked about, you can replace the center with the MAGICBALANCE Pro-75, which allows you to have a leveling head in the center. So the middle of this spider is where all of those things get put: the flat plate, the MAGICBALANCE, and your geared center column. We'll have another thing that we could talk about in another slide coming up. All of the legs are interchangeable. So get this, I have a certain number of sections on this tripod. This is a 4-section tripod. If I wanted to have the 3-section instead, or 2-section, I could get different legs and just swap them out. There's hiking pole legs that you can get to put on this, that when you take them off, they become a hiking pole that has a spot for a camera on top. And you can switch out carbon fiber for aluminum should you want to. So you can take this one spider and turn your tripod into many different types of solutions. If for some reason you don't like carbon fiber and you want aluminum instead. The goosenecks, I'm going to show you on the next. You can get goosenecks. You can get the NOVOFLEX ones and screw them into the side. Right. And also, yeah, we talked about the universal clamp mount, which we're going to show in the next slide. And there's 3/8 accessory ports. So we're just going to the next slide here. On the left here, there's one of the goosenecks. You can get it with or without a ball head on the end. Now, why would you want that? Well, let's say you're doing macro work and you wanted to mount your flashes near your camera. Instead of putting them on top of the camera and stressing the hot shoe, you can put them on the tripod where it's strong and it causes less vibration. That's one good reason to do it. The other is you might want to put the thing that you want to photograph that's macro on a gooseneck so you can attach it to the tripod and put it out in front of your lens. Down here, we have one of the clamps. You can use a gooseneck to attach a clamp to the spider, and then you can clamp onto, let's say, a railing. I know there's been a ton of times when I've wanted to just put my tripod, clamp my tripod right to a railing, like at a park, when they put those railings up high so you don't fall over the cliff. Now you can just sort of clamp something right to it and be right up on the edge instead of trying to find a place for your leg to go over to the edge of the cliff and hope that, everything sort of stays in the wind, which is inevitably there. Gino said, yes, having a tripod that can go up that high. Yeah. So if this is where the center column or where the middle of your tripod is, all of this can go up above and you can have an extra tall tripod when you use the geared center column. And again, this MAGICBALANCE Pro-75 fits into the spider here, but it also has a 3/8 mount on the bottom of it. Check and show you a 1/4 23/8 on the bottom. So if you wanted to screw it into, say, the top of this, it does double duty. So you can put this on top of that and then have a balancing head on top of that. And it also fits inside of that for maximum stability. Pretty cool stuff, right? So really, we're talking about a system here. It's not just a tripod. I'm going to say that over and over. Talking more about accessories. The kits that we sell come with 2 of the mini tripod legs. You can screw those into the ports on the side of the spider, and those ports are here on the side. You can see them coming around here. So what do you do with that? Well, on this side, you can see I hung my backpack. It's a really nice way to keep your gear off the ground with the dust and the dirt, or perhaps it's wet. That provides some more stability to the tripod by making it heavier. Or if you happen to have articulated arms and you do video, then you can screw that into the tripod spider, and you're going to be able to do your video and have your monitor right there. I had another picture where I had one of those guys out here, and I just hung my headphones off of that, which is great. You always need a place to put your damn headphones. Your darn headphones when you're doing video, because you have to step away. You don't want to walk away and have the lead pull out of your monitor or your camera. So all these things are extremely thoughtful and helpful. There's the other accessory I promised I'd talk to you about. If you are into video, the other thing you can put in the center of this spider is a half bowl. So if you happen to have a video or a photo head that has a half bowl on the bottom, to level it out quickly. And that's what this little knob is here. Ugh, it's so hard to draw with a mouse. This little knob is here. That allows you to level on uneven ground quickly, which sometimes when you're doing really quick video work is essential. So there's your 4th accessory you can put in the center of the tripod. All right. The next most important feature that I like to talk about is every height that I need. Most of the time when you get a beefy tripod, it's a tall tripod, and that's the job it does. And it might not be so good when you get closer to the ground. It might have struggle to do short heights. Not so with the NOVOFLEX TrioPod Pro-75. The extra tall is really tall, and I'm going to show you what you can do with that. You can get above crowds, for instance, which is really fantastic when you're doing, I guess, even video or parades, news gathering, stuff like that. That's short for tabletop macro. We've talked about that. It's absolutely invaluable. And when you just have your standard legs on it, you can go absolutely full flat with that, because the spider goes full flat, the legs go out full flat, and it's great. But if you wanted to swap it out for the mini legs instead, those can go out full flat with a smaller footprint. So depending on the terrain that you have, the amount of surface area, you can do that. Let's talk about the leg extensions. Look at this on the left. Over here, that is with an accessory. And I want to show you that right now. We'll pop out to the side. So this is a leg extension. You can put this between the spider and the legs, and then you can add that much more height to the tripod. And there we go. Okay. Yeah, it's like playing with a parallax camera. So I can put this here, and then I can make it even taller. And you could stack those if you want to. You can go, I'm going to say ad infinitum, but if you needed an extra tall, and this is coming really handy because sometimes I shoot Japanese screens that are gigantic, and the middle of the screen ends up being pretty tall because of the place to put it. So this allows me to get to the center of that with it even taller. And of course, the base gets even wider because you're same angle, but you're making it taller. This is the standard. Hey, where'd my drawing go? There we go. This is the standard height with the legs fully extended. Only two sections, one section, and then no sections right there. So, and then as you go further out, you can bring the legs out wider. And I skipped a couple in here, but that is all the way out and flat to the ground. And the next one here, this is the angle where you'd want to flip the tripod over and do close to the ground macro work without having to reverse what's in the center of your tripod there. And then the next one over here, this is folded up as if you're going with a travel tripod, right? And then these last two right here, those are with the mini tripod legs. They may or may not be really easy to see for you, but that's when you swap out the legs for the mini tripod legs. This is one tripod in so many different configurations. And to me, it's just a wise investment because might have to get separate tools for all of this if you're looking elsewhere. And now you can do all of those things in one thing, and it just makes sense if you need to do those. Some more examples. This is my standard working height over here. And then a little bit of macro here, and then with the macro legs here. I give you a wealth of examples here because I shoot with it a lot, so it's pretty easy for me to take a couple of BTS pictures while I'm out there. But let's say this third example right here is great if you're shooting with a long lens, but you're better shooting off of something that's like stable. You might be sitting near a rock or something. You can do that. So you don't need to have the long legs out there. You can use the short legs for that. Yeah, I can't say enough good things about using it for macro too. Obviously, you've seen that. Number 8. This is one of my favorite things. And I made a really big video before I went on my last trip a couple months ago. What's in my bag? And one of the surprises about what's in my bag was my biggest tripod was inside the bag. For TSMA, I have this wonderful Shimoda Action X, and I'll just hold it up for a second. I got to fit all of my legs inside the front of this, and I put the spider up top. So when I walk through TSA, and I got caught in the chair here. When I walk through TSA, I have been stopped before when I have 2 tripods on the other side of my bag because it looks like it exceeds the minimum size that you're allowed for carry-on. But when I took my biggest tripod and put it inside the bag, and I had my TrioPod M on the outside of the bag, which is much more conveniently small in their eyes, right? They didn't bat an eyelash at me. They're like, okay, cool. Little did they know I had a monster tripod inside my bag. And when I got to location, I took it out and I had them both on the sides of the bag. So you can tear down your tripod into its components and pack it away and then have a monster tripod for later. Or you can just turn the legs upwards and put it in travel configuration and you're good to go. So, there we go. So here's a great picture. You see the TrioPod M on the side, and you see the Pro-75 in travel configuration here with the legs folded over the reverse way. So you'll see there is a size difference, of course. One can hold 143 pounds and the other one doesn't. So to me, it's a big deal. One of the other things that I wanted to point out is that this is a system, so if I wanted to not work with these really thick legs, if I didn't need all of that stability, but I wanted to have all of the features that I have with this spider, I could take the legs off my TrioPod M, these smaller legs, and I'll do that right now, and I could put that leg right here onto the spider. So now I've got a smaller leg, a lighter leg on a heavy duty spider, and it's going to weigh a lot less. It might not get as tall, but I can interchange those things, and it just becomes a lot more flexible, and it's really exciting to me to be able to do that. So all of the tripod heads, ball heads that come with the other things that the other NOVOFLEX ones and other manufacturers, of course, are compatible. They'll use the standard 3/8 quarter 20. And there's a lot of smart features for locking them down so they don't spin off at the wrong time. So I can't stress enough that once you change over to system thinking, it all makes sense. It's not just a thing that doesn't change, right? Where everything's locked together, and if something happens to it, the whole thing doesn't work. In this case, it's unlikely that something is going to malfunction because of the quality of the manufacturing, unless you really beat on your gear, right? Or let's say you throw it in some lava. Yeah. All right. And number 10, this is the new age now where even you hear the news from Instagram, everybody's talking about this, where they're like, you know what? We used to love photography, but now we're more about video. Well, that is the way of the world, right? We all make some video content to one form or another. We're all hybrid shooters. And there's that picture right there of where I put my headphones on the other, on the mini tripod leg. So I really enjoy the fact that both of the kinds of major media that I make, photo and video, can be handled by one tool. There are extraordinary video tripods out there, and they definitely excel at what they're built for. However, in most cases, they're even heavier and bigger than this. So I enjoy the fact that I can use this to make both video and photography, even my extreme kind of photography with the really long exposures that I do. So I've seen other people using this for not just this, but astronomy, where they mount telescopes on this because it's really sturdy. Bird watching, it's really popular. Just throwing binoculars on these too. Mobile content creators, because they can put like a ring light, a microphone, a camera, all of the things that they need onto a system like this. Spotting scopes and lots of more. So anything that requires a lot of strength, this is a good one. Here's an example. If you saw B&H's optic, NPAN, National Parks at Night, were the closing speakers on the main stage, and we had a wonderful video that we put together that was half an hour long. We shot it in Joshua Tree, and one of the people we shot here in Catskill. That's a behind the scenes shot of me running the video production there, and we got it all done, and it was just wonderful to have all that stability and know that everything was going to work out right, and I could at night switch from video to photo. And I have a bonus. I told you there's 10 things, but there's 11 things. In the kits and available separately is this incredible multi-tool. I recommend that everybody get one, no matter what brand of tripod or head you have. This multi-tool is a lifesaver. It's so good that you should have two, and I do, because one goes in your pocket and one goes in your bag, and it allows you to make adjustments that are critical throughout the day, making sure that you can lock down your quick release plate or release the grub screws on the set plate that holds your ball head to your tripod and all of that good stuff. Or you can help a friend who got something stuck. So I definitely recommend having that. We have a ton of links that we're going to share with you. I already have the links for all these products queued up in the email for when this recording goes live. But we will also, let's see if I can copy and paste all of those right now and put them in. If not, I'm sure Martin and Brenda have been sharing links. And I'm going to just, boom. Wow, look at that. I don't think that came through so good. So ignore that. We're going to send this in a follow-up email to you guys. There's just a ton of things to follow here should you want to. But this one multi-tool here, I'm going to put that in the chat right now. I swear this is a great gift for photographers too. So this is a good thing. All right. So I haven't had a chance to really look at the Q&A, and I'm going to do that now. There's nothing in Q&A, but I'm going to go roll up on the chat. Martin, why don't you say hello?
Hello, hello.
Hi. So was that a busy chat? I was so focused on sharing all of the knowledge that I have.
Well, it was not that busy. A few questions about load capacities and about the lengths of the extensions and something like that, but it was quite easy.
Okay.
I think everyone was very focused on what you had to say about your work, about the Pro-75, our big boy. And I have to admit, I'm always amazed about the versatility of your work that you do besides doing webinars for NOVOFLEX.
You know, it's funny. I used to say I'm only a night photographer, but these days, I mean, like I've always been into filmmaking, so I guess I sort of thought that it was a separate practice.
There is so much more than just night photography for you these days.
Well, I got it. You know, like I liked macro photography before I met NOVOFLEX, and I'm not just blowing smoke here. Like because the tools inspired me, I got into macro photography, and I'm hooked, and I love it. So that was really helpful, and I'm so glad that you do what you did, because it was a little frustrating when I tried macro prior to this.
Well, then it was a good thing that we met through our work.
Truth. Yep.
Awesome.
Wow. So let's see some of the things that you did answer. Let's see, for people who are watching this later, I'm going to read some of those.
I was able to cover most of it. There was nothing in the Q&A section.
Okay.
I think you were pretty thorough in answering everything.
Great. So Brenda asked, are the legs waterproof? Can I use it in the ocean without worrying that it'll be ruined by sand or water? That's a good question.
Where's that question? Did I miss that?
It's okay. Let's just ad hoc reply to it here so that people can all benefit from it.
Well, the legs are not they're not sealed. So if you use them in, let's say, a river, a lake, or at the ocean, water might pour into it, but you can just take the legs apart and just let the water flow out of it. You just put them back together. I'm pretty sure you did this at one point in time.
Yep. I'm familiar with the shims inside of every tripod leg I've ever owned.
So it's actually quite easy.
It is.
You agree?
It is. Yeah. I totally agree. I'll add this, like, if you're shooting in a wet area and you shoot in especially salt water, don't collapse your legs. Just throw your tripod expanded back in the car,
Right.
Go back to the hotel or your home, take it in the shower and rinse it off with warm water and let it air dry, or towel it off and let it air dry. Don't collapse the legs until you have let it dry and you've gotten that salt off, of course, because you don't want the salt inside the tripod legs.
Mm-hmm.
Alan is just affirming that the height markers save him so much time, it's ridiculous. One of his favorite features. Yeah. Let's see. The column adds another 17 inches. Yes, okay. So the geared center column adds another 17 inches in height. It's remarkable how tall the tripod gets without adding leg extensions when you only put the geared center column in there. Yeah.
It looks really badass hanging from a leather cord around your neck.
Yeah. This is great. Cool. Sand. Okay, so does sand get in there. Now, I guess I'll start. Like, if you get sand around your tripod legs or around the tripod locks, no matter whether somebody claims that it's sealed or not, you should do your best to brush it off before collapsing it. Same deal as water. I think that rejecting all sand is an impossibility. But Martin, what's your opinion on whether sand would get in the locks?
I think I'm 100% with you. It's pretty much the same as with water. So should sand get in there or salt, if you are shooting at the ocean, make sure to remove it when you're back at your house, at your hotel, to make sure the threads where the locks of the individual components lock don't get damaged.
Right. So when you unscrew this too far, you'll notice that it comes off, and then you have the threads right here. You can just take a toothbrush to that and really gently get, not one that you're going to use again on your teeth because there's some very light grease on there. But yeah, you could get the grime out of there, and if it does get in there. So cool. All right. Well.
Yeah, Brenda writes, this is a really important point to understand, that we have to brush or wash off before collapsing.
Yep. All right. Well, there's something in the Q&A now. Is the center column stable while extended at that height? Yeah, absolutely. There's a collar on this. There's a lockdown collar that when you extend it like this, you could tighten this down. And by doing that lock collar, you're increasing the stability greatly. Now I'm gonna say I'm not an engineer, but my understanding is that the strongest a tripod can be is with the center column down and everything as tight as possible. So when you extend it up to its tallest point, it's never going to be the same level of stability as if it was touching the spider.
Right.
But it'll be as strong as possible when you lock that collar down.
That is 100% true.
This is practical experience talking. So it is stable as heck. I've done let's say half-second exposures doing some artwork stuff with that center column all the way up, and it was tack sharp. So thank you, Gina.
I think that's all we need to know.
Yeah. So that is answered. If you have other questions, hit reply to the emails that you get, and we will respond to you. And thank you so much. Martin, you have anything you want to say in closing?
Well, thanks for preparing this awesome webinar, and thanks for all the inspiration that comes with your images.
Thanks, Martin.
And thanks to everyone for attending our webinar and spending your time with us.
Yep. And to all of you seeing it on the replay, hit us up in the questions or the comments. We'll talk to you then. All right. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you during the next webinar.
Bye.